I'd like to call the meeting of the Land Use Committee to order for March 19th, 2013. Welcome everybody who's here and welcome everybody on TV and Channel 16 at home. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th meeting.
So move, Anderson.
Could I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you very much. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have one item on our agenda tonight. That's the acceptance procedures and requirements for private construction of public improvements. And Chad Evie is here to take us through that procedure. Welcome, Chad.
Good afternoon. Do you all have a copy of these?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Oh.
we do not. Are they?
Okay, I'll get you copies. I have some back here on the table.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just as a little refresher, I'm Chad Evie with the Engineering Division of Public Works. And the engineering design standards that we have are the documents we use to construct our public improvements. And we review those annually, and then if there's updates or revisions, we bring them to this body for that. Today I have proposed revisions to Chapter 14, and that chapter deals with acceptance procedures and requirements for private construction of public improvements. So what we're talking about is when a private individual developer installs public improvements and then dedicates them to the city. So, you know, most of what we're talking about is subdivisions, but I'll give you some other examples of what we're going to talk about. So these proposed revisions have been reviewed and approved by the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board, and today I'm requesting your support to take this to the full council on April 9th. This really talks about the procedures for the private group to construct our public improvements privately and to our standards, and then there's an acceptance procedure, and then there's a warranty period, and then the city takes over the maintenance of those public infrastructure into the future. So previously, Chapter 14 talked about all types of public improvements constructed privately. When we improved the subdivision construction agreement back in December, that document contains all of the procedures and requirements for private construction in subdivisions. So now all the subdivision work is included in the subdivision construction agreement, and now what Chapter 14 will just pertain to is the other privately constructed public improvements. So most of what we're going to talk about just briefly is, let's say a convenience store is going to build a new store, and because of their traffic, we require them to build a deceleration lane. That's what we're talking about in Chapter 14. It's those types of things that are completed outside of a subdivision, and most of the improvements are going to be deceleration lanes or acceleration lanes for businesses. So all the subdivision acceptance and utility work and requirements and warranty for subdivisions is now covered in the subdivision construction agreement, and now Chapter 14 will only apply to mainly deceleration lanes and items such as that are not related to subdivisions. And it does talk about the utility systems have a 2-year warranty period, and the surfacing has a 1-year warranty period. And none of that is changing. So with that, I'll answer questions if there are any.
Give us a second to take a look at this, would you please? You bet. You bet, Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, I looked at this earlier, and maybe I just overlooked it, but where's the deceleration lanes at in here?
Well, they're not, they would be part of the,
Okay,
they'd be part of the street system. So if you look at if you look on the last page,
okay.
the deceleration is basically just a lane, a short lane, and that'd be covered under 14.2.2. So just saying they build the deceleration lane, there's a warranty period on that work for 1 year.
14.2.2, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't say, an example of one of these public improvements would be a deceleration lane. It's not listed in here, but it's surfacing would be where that deceleration lane would fall under.
Oh, okay.
Counselor Rolfing?
Yes,
If I
please.
may. I often wondered about this, Chad. Where do the warranty, the 1 year and the 2 year, how was that decided?
You know, it's been in place, it's been a standard for as long as I've been here, and I think it's probably just an industry standard.
Okay.
Utilities are a 2 year and surfacing's a 1 year. We've had discussions about trying to have one warranty period. Of course, we'd say let's have everything has a 2 year warranty period, but I think we're comfortable with the 2 year on the utility and a 1 year on the surfacing.
And the reason I ask is, and I'm sure it's probably been, like you said, this way for a long time since I've been here. But over the years, technology, the ability to create new material that probably could have a longer lifespan. Techcrete would be a good example, I guess. I mean, that stuff can last a very long time. Should we be looking at longer warranty periods?
You know, I think Techcrete's probably an example that's something that we do, and it's more of a maintenance procedure. But I think typically, you know, most of the time, if something isn't installed correctly, it's going to show up in that first year. Something's going to settle. Trench isn't compacted properly. That's when you're going to see your issues arise is that first year.
Okay.
And so I mean, that's why we feel comfortable with this.
So the warranty is mostly, when it says defects, we're not talking about a product, but workmanship. Is that correct?
It could be. It could be both.
Could be both.
You know, like when you install the water main, we fill it with water, we pressurize it. If there's no leaks, we're good. Now, a trench could settle. With sewer, you could have settlement happen, and that, you know, that's so most of the time it's probably workmanship, but there can be some products that we get that are defective.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we don't deal with them. I mean, we have good contractors in town, and I mean, our warranty issues, they're not a big problem.
And that was my last question. I mean, if it's not a problem, do we really need to be, I mean, do we have a lot of stuff falling apart in our third year, or, you know, is it?
No,
Okay.
no, and we want to be consistent with the work that you guys approve us to do in the capital plan, and we want it to have the same warranty period and accepted requirements that are in the private construction also. So it's consistent across the board.
If I might, then what you're talking about is someone is putting up a new store, and you've determined that their business the street is busy enough, they need to put a deceleration lane in to not cause the traffic to slow down and get blocked up when people are turning into their store. So they have to foot the bill on that. Their contractor who's doing this has to dig down and maybe disturb some things, et cetera, so they pour the concrete, they tear it all up, pour the concrete in, and then put the blacktop in on the top of it, and this is where this warranty comes into play.
This is where a lot of this would come into play. Like the McDonald's at 41st in Minnesota, when they rebuilt, they built the deceleration lane. The Casey's out at 41st and Sycamore out on the southeast part of town. When they built, they put deceleration lanes in. So
Okay.
they just moved the curb and gutter back 12 feet, report it, and put the new road in.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Staggers.
I just happened to think of something, Chad, and that is when we talk about our bus system, Okay, we have buses traveling on Minnesota and 41st, very busy streets. And then, of course, there are places where they just plain stop to pick up people or to let people off. I've always thought this is extremely dangerous. Are we going to, in the future, have any requirement for the bus line to build an area where they could pull off so they're not blocking lanes?
You know, there are some areas in town where you can do that, but you're right, on Minnesota Avenue, there is nowhere to go, and there's nowhere to expand either. So I think if we have opportunities to do things like that, we will attempt that. A lot of it comes down to, I mean, yeah, it's when you're down 41st, you got to be paying attention. The buses
Stop.
yeah, I mean, it's so you just, you know, you got to pay attention. But yeah, I mean, there can be dangerous.
So what you're asking for is us to move this forward to the, approve this and move it forward to the full council for approval.
Yes, and I'll bring a resolution in April
Okay.
to the full council if you guys support this.
So move Anderson.
Can I hear a second?
Second, Karski.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to move the acceptance procedures and requirements for private construction of public improvements under Chapter 7 or Chapter 14 of the document to the full council. And that would have been on the 14th, you said? Or the April 9th of 2013. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have some open discussion then. Are there any items to be brought to the Land Use Committee? Hearing none, I guess we will adjourn this committee. Let me ask first, is there anything from the gallery? Nope, hearing none. Meeting adjourned.